No, no, no. I'm done. I'm out of the game. That's it. I'm wrapping it up. The wolf is done. That's it. No more videos. Shut it all down. Okay. Okay. Oh, you meant for the holidays, not forever, right? Oh, I can feel it coming in the air tonight. My haters got happy for you. Baseballs too. The search for more money. L'chaim. Let's get into it, guys. All right. So this is the last video until the end of this year. Really, really should be. All right. Need to get some time, some drink, some smoke, some friends and family, some, you know, stuff. So what is this video about? I'm glad you asked. Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. This video is about something that keeps popping up. I mean, I'm okay with it. It helps me to make money, but because of my perfectionist brain, and I have to turn it off sometimes, because even like those chords sitting there drive my brain insane, and this organization up there, even though it's my own mess, this is me trying to get over, trying to have everything so perfect. When should you fight as a U.S. citizen, and when should you be a national? Let's get into it. Ding, 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 ding. The art of fighting without fighting. Bruce Lee. Show me some of this fighting without fighting. All right. So this pops up a lot. Just in a case this week. We'll call this particular person L. So talking with L, and first of all, normally I would have charged L probably about about $1,200. Okay, which is still yet cheaper than what lawyers or attorneys would charge. And I speak her language. She also watches my YouTube channel. So normally my consultation fees are $550 for an hour and a half. I can push it to 2 hours if I want to of my free will, and of course, not included. Can. So we had numerous hours, at least 4 hours of talk time and some other stuff. And even within there, I did extra things that I really didn't have to do. Those really weren't, some of the things really weren't included in the consultation. But, you know, we got through it. Okay. Because if I'm going to do more, then I want to be paid more and I should be paid. And I'm already charging 5 times less than what they charge. Okay. So, but I enjoy helping people really more so than the money, but I have to still yet make money. Okay. So send in donations, jamesclovett.com, but primarily, actually, no, blackside32.com. Jamesclovett.com does not have a donation page or anything on there. And as always, through PayPal, jamesclovett.com at Yahoo, or jamesclovett@yahoo.com is my email, and that can be used in PayPal. So what do I mean by this whole U.S. citizen versus national, and then side mark sovereign citizen? Okay. What do I mean by all that? Primarily, it's the first two. So under 8 U.S.C. 1101A, 22A, and B, you are a national by your birthright on this land. That is you and the private. Also, underneath that same code, you're also a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen, essentially a legal slave. You can choose to go between one or the other. You cannot be both in any one situation. This is where they get the term sovereign citizen. A national is sovereign. A U.S. citizen is a citizen. The word citizen, sitai zen, is to be made and conformed into a structure that is no longer savage, no longer private, made zen like, and you've been placed on their ship, which means you're now subject to maritime admiralty, water laws, jurisdictions, regulations, and codes as a legal person or entity or an individual, which generally means a living person. So we have both. Depending on how you regard yourself or where you register, you've now tainted yourself. You still have your private side, even though you've tainted your given name, which is private. Your given name is still technically there, but because it's identically spelled and by typography, what it looks like is nearly identical to your private version of your name, the given name, and you've made no distinctions between those, they get to assume that you are, in fact, operating in your 14th Amendment U.S. citizen capacity under 8 U.S.C. 1101A 21 or more so 22A, having then waived your rights to the Constitution and everything else while operating in that status. Your status is a U.S. citizen, and that's a dead thing generally. People born in the District of Columbia are nationals and citizens. So you're not operating as a national. So what do I mean then moving forward? What does it all mean moving forward? Well, much like Elle, who is very brilliant, I put her in probably the top five most intelligent females I've ever met. And she overstood, okay, because a national stands over. Cop asks you, do you understand? Because they're asking you, do you stand under their jurisdiction and authority? Nope, sorry, I overstand you. And I don't have a status, I have a standing because I'm standing. Living things stand. Dead things in 14th Amendment U.S. citizens have a status. They're owned property. You've joined a gang. So in her plights of court, she was going through some probate things and some whatever else. I won't go into all of her stuff. But she was trying to argue common law points, positioning, hell, probably even some things she learned from my channel. And that sounds good. But in her case, and in most of your cases, it's not. You're doing more damage and you're losing more credibility, and you won't win because you do not understand the scenario properly. So not only did I need to take a look and analyze everything that she has going on, I had to educate her on why she's failing. And of course, this did not go over well in our initial um, meeting. I mean, we weren't like, rah, but people when they think they're right, and I had to tell her, you are right, but you're not in the right venue to be operationally right. Now, when she started to tell me that her issues were already ongoing, so they were not just getting ready to go into these things, which is really hard for me because now I have to see what you've done. We have to backtrack. I have to then try to reposition. It's better because I work on prevention before things happen. The moment you get notification, if you want my help, that's where I really need to be. I am 100% more effective from that position than where you've already hopped down the bunny trail and done some things, and now I have to deal with that. So in that, it was learning that she's dealing with some probate, she's dealing with some uh family court type things, et cetera, where they can kind of mix the two because they already have the jurisdiction. So I had to explain to her why they already have jurisdiction and why what she was arguing was useless in this particular event. So for her, I had to get her to understand that there are times when you fight as a U.S. citizen and there's times where you fight as a national. Some of you guys come to me and you're like still doing U.S. citizen things, or the court has already been convened in the civil court, and you're trying to argue these things over here, and you're not arguing them properly, and you haven't argued them at the proper time. Some things can be argued at any point in time, but if you're already in the court, and I talk about some of this type of how to do it properly on my other website, which is jamesclovett.com. There's court case videos. You want to know like 95% of everything I know, why I'm successful, how I move. It's in the jamesclovett.com website under the court cases. You can take the introductory, you can take the secondary course, you can take the third, you can take all three. And all of those things are in there. If you really want to be in this, you really want to know how to do it right. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that these are all facts. I'm just saying these are my experience in 40 years of doing this solidly for 10, 15 on especially in this part of it, learning all of this for 40 years, then bring it together. Go check out the videos or watch all these videos and put it together. But I'm in those videos, I'm giving you invaluable experiences that I've been through. So it's one thing to have all this knowledge, it's another one to apply it. You can have all this knowledge and do things wrong, even one or two things wrong, which is really all she was doing. A lot of the rest of the stuff she had pretty well right, and then they decided to form a kangaroo court on her, which means to jump around and try to ignore things. Well, after our 4 hour, I think it was, two different meetings, she understood where she was messing up because she was mixing the private and the public on the public side. Pick one or the other. And in her case, I recommended you should just continue to fight over here. Trying to argue these things when you're already dealing with family issues, which is that side, and probate. Otherwise, you have to file a whole new thing in the other jurisdiction and then start over, which is fine too. You ultimately have more power on the private side, but when things are already going and you've caught them in bullshit, which he did, here's where you're stronger. Then from there, you can appeal it. And then from there, you can go further and go after them for what they've done if they've done things too far over the line. They are allowed some discretion, but a lot of these dingling suckers, they live in that discretionary area, especially if they see that you're wiser than the regular person or wolf out there. So the Supreme Court, federal court, Department of State, Attorney General, United States Attorney General, District Attorney, they know to some degree that we're being essayed, or we'll call maybe we should call it LA, legally assaulted, lawfare. They know it's happening. They absolutely know it's happening. And I'm not going to say that they don't care, but what I'm going to say is that until you bring the matter to them properly, they can't see it. That's when, in fact, justice is blind. Because when your ass is in court, they may not tell you they don't like you because you're black, you're white, you're gay, you're straight, you're fat, what the cologne or perfume you wear smells like their exes, whatever it is. They may not just like you. You're not rich enough. Whatever it is, they're not going to tell you that. But that's what it is. Not all judges or police or lawyers or marshals or sheriffs or whatever. They're not all bad. You would know if they were all bad. but some of them aren't. Some of them are traitors and operating treasonously and clandestinely. But the FBI, though they move slow, the CIA, though they move slow, Attorney General, though they move slow, until you bring your matter, your event to them using a bully to deal with a smaller bully, is the only way you're going to get assistance or a form of resolution when abused in these lower courts, which are inferior by law. So after stepping through all of her details, it was clear to me that she needed to beat them at their own game without having to start over and a new filing fee and them trying to play their games. And she tried to do it, but she didn't do it and she didn't make it stick. Okay. So once again, there's some things in here I'm not covering because they're in the video. So you're gonna have to go and watch the paid streaming videos, which are definitely worth the time and money. But once I showed her that in the private consult, then she understood. No, excuse me, she overstood. She was no longer standing under. So now she has her paper, she has her homework and lots of papers to get filed and set accordingly. And she also now has a path to go if they try to play games. And I showed her why and how. And then just give her one little thing. I gave her all the remedy that she needs for where she's at. But there's more above her. So when should you fight? So people come to me and they're like, hey, I got a ticket, driving and this and that. Oh, I'm like, I'm more so for nationals. Now, if you're doing right to travel, and then I'm going to step through every single action you should have done. I have to know what you've done, what you did right, what you did wrong, where you're at with all that, the time, the state, all that. I have to be so intimate with your details that basically, I know I probably shouldn't say this, but I have to be so close in it. I'm over your shoulder like Diddy at an all white party because that's how the law they're going to go at you. And the moment you show them you're not stupid, or the moment you show them that you are stupid, they're gonna burn the place down. But the moment you show them you know a little bit about something, you're no longer catching them off guard. They're gonna sit up in their chairs and they're gonna be like, oh, we got one of the smart ones here. We got us one of them smart there citizens of the sovereign type. So you have to know how to deal with it. Just printing out a general script from chat can help, but there's a lot of things that chat is not telling you about because chat does not have the personal experience of dealing with it. I found that out about chat when I'm doing some paperwork for me in concerns to my apple-headed punk bitch baby mama. Chat didn't tell me certain things that I needed to know. Some things that should have been done beforehand. That stagger stepped me back just one step. I was able to circumvent and right correct the action, right the action, correct the action. But still, yeah, that taught me that, it does make mistakes. You guys have seen me show you on here that it so as I learn how it thinks, I then teach it to think better. But at the same time, you have to look at the whole picture. So if you're doing right to travel, that's when you want to fight as a national. And there are some key ways to do that. When you deal with these people, it's like, and I use the word people very loosely, probably more or less like operational automatons with a demon hierarchy. That's pretty good. Just made that one up. Some of them operating as sovereign police officers, sovereign judges, and whatever else. There are windows of time where you can do certain things and they're more effective now than later on. So, doing right to travel, minding your own business in the park, riding your bike with your kids and you get bothered, those would be national side things. Driving your car, you're at work, certain things, that would be a U.S. citizen. You should not mix it. You should not be trying to go, well, even though I was driving, um, I gave him my passport. Sure, I still have my plates on my car, but I watched your videos. So I know that my passport can get me out of trouble. So I just wanted to try it. And yes, it has worked, but that is not something to rely on or to be testing them, wasting their time and playing games. This is not I'm going to get back at the police or whatever else. Because if you're doing that, you're a moron and you're an embarrassment to liberty, rights, and freedoms, and you're tarnishing the name and helping them to prove their point. Not everybody can handle freedom, and that's a fact. And you're fucking making it happen when you do stupid shit. So don't mix. If you have a ticket, I can still try to help you out with it. But like one lady, won't give her name away. Very awesome. I think we did two, three consults. I mean, really, I think she just wanted to kind of get her feet wet with this because, like, literally for what she paid, she probably could have paid the ticket off because I don't think the ticket was more than the consultations. But she wanted to learn how to fight from the public side as a U.S. citizen because she truly believed that she was not wrong in what she did. And after further review, we were able to use the law to help her. I've had this happen numerous times. I've had some other people try to um, fight as a national, but they were doing citizen stuff. So you have to be able to identify that. Otherwise, I'm going to do it in the consultation. And I may say things on here, just like on my other YouTube channel, which is Badwolf Unrestricted. Super character over there. Much fun. Join me on that one. If you're on this channel and watching this one, join me on that one. All right. So just type in Badwolf Unrestricted. You have to know how to fight. And I'm going to show you which side you should fight from. Doesn't mean you still can't. It just means if you want to win, I'm going to show you the best way to win. As always, I'm going to show you how to vet the information. You're grown. You can do whatever you guys want to do. I'm not your dad. I'm not your mom. I'm not your boss. I'm not your cousin, your best friend. I'm not going to sugarcoat things, just like I don't sugarcoat things on Bad Wolf Unrestricted on my other YouTube channel. I like to have fun and all that other stuff, but seriously being said, like for real, like my goal is to make sure you know how to operate, how to move, and do all these things correctly. If you choose not to, that's on you. You choose to take my advice and not listen, it's on you. I'm not responsible for you whether you win or lose, but I will give you the tools. And I'll say this, we easily have a 92 to 95% success ratio. I don't I could make videos of all the court cases and all the victories and whatever else. I I've got like 10 different email boxes and literally had to clean out like five because people were like, yeah, my emails aren't going through to you. I didn't know. They didn't tell me I'm at capacity. And literally some of them 5,000, 10,000. I think one was like 100 and some odd thousand emails I had to delete. Most of which, believe it or not, I actually have answered. But as you guys know, I really generally don't answer emails anymore. Maybe one or two here and there if you bought a product or it's your first time. Other than that, generally it's a an email, 3 question, paid in advance consult, short answers only. Anything else? Full on consult if needed. So when it comes to the term sovereign and citizen, as I said before, it was written so in the articles and Constitution in such a way that they meant that, see, that term, the words together make a term. That term has not been codified or codified. It means it has not been officially recognized to have to be a real thing of substance in their legal world or the lawful world. What it is a two separate words that, when used in those documents, meant the citizen is sovereign, but it has been adopted by certain judges and then spread amongst the police officers to be construed as somebody who is a citizen, because that's generally all that they know about, who's trying to operate above the law, thinks they're above the law. Well, there's a lot of cops and judges who seem to think they're above the law, and they know exactly who they are. So, sovereign police meet sovereign judge, meet sovereign citizen. Those things do occur, but legally, they have no actual substance. None of those things I just said do. You can't go after a cop and say he's being a sovereign. You know, he's in derelict of his officer duties. He's a bad officer. He's a bad judge. He's in that capacity. Citizens are in their capacity as being a citizen, if that's what they are at that particular point in time. And if you don't obey the laws, which is what a cop thinks you're doing, sometimes you're not doing, then he's got the right to use that which was written in the legislative branch to fit him in the executive branch, put hands on you, to then take you to the judicial branch to prosecute you. But none of those branches can do all three. That's a violation of the Separation of Powers Act. Your ass is grass. That's why a lot of these cops are operating out of their jurisdiction, which is ultra vires, another federal offense. They don't even know it. So there's no such thing as a sovereign citizen. There isn't. It's a slang term. It doesn't exist other than in their mouths. They generally will say it here and there lightly amongst themselves, little buddy, but they won't prosecute you solely on that. They almost never put it on paperwork because they're not that stupid. Doesn't mean they're not stupid. I'm saying they're not that stupid. Those particular individuals, persons, actors in office, because it would destroy their case because there's no such thing. You can't prosecute something you don't have complete jurisdiction over. But they do have jurisdiction over a U.S. citizen, and that's how they go after you. They do not over a national unless you waive your rights by doing something criminal, illegal, stupid, or denying somebody else of their rights or endangering public safety. Then you waive your rights to be private in that event or matter in general. And then you're brought into the light for public prosecution, administration, etc. So, national, if you're doing something in the private and you're trying to stay private, don't give them any reason to be in your business. But if they get into your business, then they are in violation whether they know it or not. And you go after them and you sue them. If you're doing U.S. citizen things, driving, if you're at work or whatever else, then your matter is a U.S. citizen. But yes, I do other court cases. Some I've done that I've never dealt with. All right. but I do not take cases if you've hurt kids or you're doing something criminal or illegal. I don't do any of that. If it's something where you feel you've been wronged, then I can take a look at it. All right. And give you the best direction that I think you should go in, educationally speaking. As a private attorney, in fact, uh, educational purposes only. But if you're telling me something and it's against those beliefs that I have, I'll just cut the consult, refund you your money, and you can go and pay somebody professional money who will take whatever you did, no matter what it is, because that's their job, and do it. I have a code of conduct and credence where I don't do any of that. I'm not here to help people who hurt kids or do criminal things, especially involving hurting innocent people. So I roll. No matter how much you offer me, it's not where I get down. So, but I have had clients where I told them what this is what they should do, and they didn't want to do it. So some of which are still sitting in jail, some are still sitting in prison, whereas others have gotten out by doing a, writ of habeas corpus or mandamus, depending on what it is. But once again, it's your life, so do as you see fit. With that being said, guys, it's the last video. I'm out. Enjoy your holiday season. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm trying to get some rest and refreshment and come back hitting the ground hard. We've got a lot of ground to cover next year, and I'll see you there. Take care.